Tyler Chen had exactly $43 in his bank account. He knew the exact number because he'd checked it 3 times that morning, hoping somehow the numbers would magically change. They hadn't. He stood in his tiny apartment bathroom, the one where the shower leaked and the mirror had a crack running down the middle, getting ready for another double shift. His reflection stared back at him, split right down the center by that crack. 24 years old, tired eyes, but still trying to keep that smile ready. That smile was part of the job. The bike ride to work took 30 minutes. Tyler used to drive, but his car had been taken away 2 months ago, when he couldn't keep up with the payments. Now he biked everywhere. Rain, snow, burning summer heat didn't matter. He'd wrapped plastic bags around his work shoes to keep them dry during the ride. Can't serve tables in wet shoes. The restaurant wouldn't like that. Romano's Italian restaurant sat right in the heart of downtown Chicago, the kind of place where the breadsticks cost more than Tyler's lunch. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, candles on every table. The customers wore watches that could pay Tyler's rent for a year. Sometimes 2 years, but Tyler loved the job anyway. Not for the money, though he needed that desperately. He loved it because of the people. Every table was a story. Every customer had something going on in their life, and for 1 hour, Tyler got to be part of it. "You're late," his manager Danny called out when Tyler rushed through the back door at 4:47 p.m. His shift started at 4:45. "Sorry, flat tire," Tyler lied. The truth was he'd stopped to help an older woman carry her groceries up 3 flights of stairs in his building. But Danny wouldn't care about that. Thursday evening shifts were usually slow. The weekend crowd hadn't started yet, and the business lunch people were long gone. Tyler wiped down his tables, filled the salt shakers, made sure everything was perfect. Tips would be small tonight. They always were on Thursdays. But small tips were better than no tips. Around 6:30, the front door opened and an old man walked in. Tyler noticed him right away because, well, he stood out. Everyone else in Romano's looked like they'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. Designer suits, expensive dresses, that kind of thing. This old man wore a brown jacket that had seen better days probably 20 years ago. His pants were a bit too short and his shoes were scuffed up pretty bad. The host, Jennifer, looked at the old man like he'd wandered into the wrong place. She glanced around, probably hoping another server would take this table. But it was Tyler's section, so she seated him at table 12 right by the window. Tyler grabbed a menu and headed over with his best smile. The real one, not the fake server smile. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to Romano's. Can I start you off with something to drink?" The old man looked up and Tyler noticed his hands shaking slightly as he reached for the menu. His eyes were kind though, the type of eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. "Just water, please. Tap water is fine." Tyler brought the water in their fancy glasses, the ones with the restaurant's logo etched on the side. He watched as the old man studied the menu carefully, his finger tracing down the prices. Tyler had done the same thing plenty of times at restaurants back when he could afford to eat out. That was years ago now. The cheapest thing on the menu was the minestrone soup at $14. For soup. Tyler made that at home for maybe $2. "Take your time, sir. No rush at all," Tyler said, meaning it. The old man looked relieved. "Thank you, young man. You're very kind." 10 minutes later, the old man was ready to order. "I'll have the minestrone soup, please." "Excellent choice," Tyler said. "That's actually my favorite. And you know what? It's your first time here, right?" The old man nodded. "Then you definitely need to try our garlic bread. It's incredible. Let me bring you some on the house. Consider it a welcome gift." That wasn't exactly allowed. The garlic bread cost $7 and Danny would probably notice. But Tyler had watched this man count the bills in his wallet twice while looking at the menu. He knew that look. "Oh, I couldn't possibly. I insist. Trust me, you haven't lived until you've tried our garlic bread." The old man's eyes got a little watery. "That's very generous of you." Tyler brought the soup and bread plus extra butter even though that wasn't on the house. He checked on the man 3 times, making sure everything was good, refilling his water before he had to ask. They talked a little bit. The old man's name was Mr. Vincent. He'd lived in Chicago his whole life, used to work in construction, had 3 grandkids he didn't get to see much anymore. Tyler told him about biking to work, left out the part about the $43 in his account. Other servers walked past, barely glancing at table 12. No wine ordered, no expensive entrees, just soup and bread. That table wouldn't make any money. But Tyler didn't care about that. Mr. Vincent had stories about old Chicago, about how the city used to be, and Tyler actually enjoyed listening. Around 7:30, Mr. Vincent dabbed his mouth with his napkin and asked for the check. Tyler printed it out. The total was $47 with tax. The soup, plus Tyler had added the garlic bread and an appetizer salad he'd brought earlier. "Whenever you're ready, sir. No rush." Mr. Vincent pulled out his wallet with those shaking hands and removed a credit card. It was an old card, the kind without a chip, just the magnetic stripe on the back. Tyler took the card to the register, swiped it, and waited. The machine beeped. Red letters flashed on the screen. Declined. Tyler's stomach dropped a little. He looked over at Mr. Vincent, who was staring out the window at the Chicago streets. Completely unaware of what was about to happen, Tyler stood at the register, staring at those red letters on the screen. Declined. He'd seen it happen before, plenty of times. Usually people had another card, or they'd apologize and just pay cash. No big deal. But something about this felt different. Mr. Vincent seemed like such a genuine person. The way his hand shook, the way he'd carefully counted his money, the way his eyes had lit up over free garlic bread. This wasn't someone trying to skip out on a bill. This was someone who was about to be really, really embarrassed. Tyler took a deep breath and walked back to table 12. "Sir, I'm really sorry, but your card didn't go through. Do you have another one you'd like to try?" The change in Mr. Vincent's face was immediate. His skin went pale, almost gray. His hands started shaking worse as he fumbled through his wallet. That's impossible. I was certain." His voice cracked a little. He pulled out another card, this one even more worn than the first. "Try this one, please." Tyler walked back to the register. Swiped the card, same red letters. Declined. By now, Jennifer, the host, had noticed. So had another server, Kevin, who worked the section next to Tyler's. Kevin smirked a little. He was that kind of guy, always looking for drama, always ready to gossip about customers who couldn't pay. Tyler returned to the table. "Sir, I'm sorry. That one didn't work either. Do you maybe have cash or—" Mr. Vincent was digging through his wallet now, pulling out every card he had. His hands were shaking so badly he dropped one on the floor. Tyler bent down to pick it up for him. "I have 4 cards. Please try them all. I don't understand." "I paid my bills. I always pay my bills." The desperation in his voice made Tyler's chest hurt. He'd heard that same tone in his own grandfather's voice years ago, when Grandpa Joe's pension got cut and he couldn't afford his medications anymore. That sound of someone's dignity crumbling. Tyler tried the 3rd card. Declined. 4th card. Declined. By now, Danny, the manager, had noticed the commotion. He came walking over, arms crossed, that look on his face that Tyler knew too well. The "we have a problem" look. "Is everything all right here?" Danny's voice was pleasant enough, but there was an edge to it. Mr. Vincent stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. His whole body seemed smaller somehow, like he was trying to disappear. "I'm so sorry. This has never happened to me before. I live about 40 minutes from here. I can go home and get cash. I promise I'll come back tonight. I give you my word. Sir, you know we can't let customers leave without paying. That's our policy." Tyler saw tears forming in the old man's eyes. Real tears. Mr. Vincent was probably 75, maybe 80 years old, and he was standing in the middle of a fancy restaurant about to cry because his credit cards weren't working. Other diners were starting to notice. A woman in a pearl necklace whispered something to her husband. Kevin was practically gleaming with excitement over the drama. "I'll call my daughter," Mr. Vincent said, pulling out an old flip phone with shaking fingers. "She can bring money. Please, just give me a few minutes," Danny sighed. "Sir, we've had issues before with—" "I've got this," Tyler interrupted. Everyone looked at him. Danny, Mr. Vincent, even the lady with the pearls. "What?" Danny said. Tyler pulled his wallet out of his back pocket. Inside was his debit card and 3 $20 bills. His tip money from yesterday. His grocery money. His phone bill money. His everything money. "I'll cover it," Tyler said, pulling out his card. Danny grabbed Tyler's arm and pulled him aside, away from the table. He spoke in a harsh whisper. "Are you out of your mind? That's $47. You barely made $60 in tips tonight." "He's not trying to scam us," Tyler whispered back. "Look at him. He's genuinely confused and scared. That's not your problem." "Maybe not, but I'm making it my problem." Danny stared at him for a long moment, then threw his hands up. "Fine, your funeral. But don't come crying to me when your lights get shut off. Tyler walked to the register and ran his own card. It went through, taking almost every dollar he had to his name. The receipt printed out and Tyler felt his stomach sink as he looked at his new balance. -$4. He'd overdrafted. That meant a $35 fee tomorrow. He was now $82 in the hole for a bowl of soup and some bread. Tyler walked back to table 12 with the receipt, trying to keep that smile on his face. Mr. Vincent was sitting down again, his face in his hands. "Sir, it's all taken care of," Tyler said gently. Mr. Vincent looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" "The bill. It's paid, but I don't understand how." "Don't worry about it, seriously." Understanding dawned on Mr. Vincent's face. His eyes filled with tears again, but different tears this time. "You paid for my meal? It's really not a big deal." "Not a big deal." Mr. Vincent's voice broke. "Young man, you have no idea what you've just done for me. It's just dinner." "No." Mr. Vincent stood up, reached across the table and grabbed both of Tyler's hands. His grip was surprisingly strong. "It's not just dinner. It's dignity. It's being treated like a human being when you feel like the world sees you as nothing." Tears were running down the old man's face now. Tyler felt his own eyes getting wet. "Can I have a pen and paper?" Mr. Vincent asked. Tyler handed him the ordering pad from his apron. Mr. Vincent wrote down Tyler's full name, then his phone number. "I will pay you back," Mr. Vincent said firmly. "I don't know what happened with my cards, but I will figure it out and I will pay you back every penny." I promise you, Tyler didn't believe him. Not because he thought Mr. Vincent was lying, but because Tyler had lived long enough to know that people who can't pay a $47 restaurant bill usually don't have $47 to pay anyone back with. But he smiled anyway. "Okay, sir. Whenever you can. No pressure." Mr. Vincent clutched that piece of paper like it was made of gold. "Bless you. Truly bless you." After he left, Kevin walked by Tyler's station. "Dude, you just got scammed. That old guy played you?" Maybe he did, Tyler thought. But watching Mr. Vincent walk out of that restaurant with his head held high instead of hanging in shame, Tyler couldn't bring himself to regret it, even if it meant sitting in the dark when his electricity got shut off. 3 days later, Tyler was eating cereal in the dark. His electricity had been shut off that morning, exactly like Danny predicted. The power company didn't care that he'd helped an old man at a restaurant. They just cared about the $132 bill that Tyler couldn't pay. So there he sat, in his apartment at 8 p.m., eating Cheerios with a flashlight propped up on the table. The milk was getting warm because the fridge had been off for 9 hours. He'd have to throw it out tomorrow. His phone buzzed. Another text from his landlord. Rent was 5 days late. If he didn't pay by Monday, he'd be evicted. Tyler didn't bother replying. What was he supposed to say? "Sorry, I paid for a stranger's soup?" He'd picked up every shift he could. Worked until midnight 4 nights in a row. His tips were okay, nothing special. Thursday nights were always slow, but Friday and Saturday had been decent. He'd made about $300 in 3 days. Sounds good, right? Except 200 of that went to his overdraft fee and paying back his account. The other 100 needed to stretch to cover food, his phone bill, and somehow magically, his rent. Tyler was doing the math in his head, the same math he did every month, trying to figure out how to make $900 appear out of 300. It never worked. The math never worked. His phone rang. Unknown number. Tyler almost didn't answer. Unknown numbers were usually debt collectors, and he was too tired to explain for the 100th time that he'd pay when he had money to pay. But something made him answer. "Hello? Is this Tyler Chen?" A woman's voice. Professional. The kind of voice that worked in an office with nice carpets and windows that actually opened. "Yeah, that's me. My name is Rebecca Park. I'm calling from the Castellano Family Trust." Tyler had no idea what that meant. "Okay. I'm calling on behalf of Mr. Vincent Castellano. You met him last Thursday evening at Romano's restaurant." Tyler sat up straighter, nearly knocking over his flashlight. "Mr. Vincent. Is he okay?" "He's perfectly fine. Actually, he's the one who asked me to call you immediately." "Oh, good. I mean, he seemed really upset that night. I was worried about him." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Tyler, I need to explain something to you. Mr. Castellano wanted you to know the truth about what happened that evening." Tyler's heart started beating faster. Did his cards ever start working? I felt terrible for him. Tyler, Mr. Castellano's cards didn't work because he disabled them before entering the restaurant. The words didn't make sense. What do you mean disabled them? That evening at Romano's was not what it appeared to be. Mr. Castellano does this several times a year. He dresses simply, goes to upscale restaurants, and intentionally makes sure his credit cards won't work. It's a test. Tyler's brain was struggling to process this. A test? I don't understand. Mr. Castellano wants to see how people treat someone who appears to have nothing, how servers, managers, other customers react when faced with someone who can't pay their bill. The cereal Tyler had eaten started feeling heavy in his stomach. So he was testing me? Not just you, everyone. In the 11 years he's been doing this, do you know how many times someone has paid his bill? Tyler couldn't speak. Once. You're the first person in 11 years who covered his meal. But more than that, Tyler, you're the first person who treated him with genuine kindness both before and after his cards declined. Mr. Castellano told me you brought him extra food, spent time talking with him, and never made him feel less than human, even when you thought you'd never see that money again. Tears started rolling down Tyler's face. He wasn't sure if he was crying because he was relieved Mr. Vincent was okay, or angry about being tested, or just exhausted from everything. Why would he do that? Tyler asked, his voice breaking. Rebecca's voice softened. Because Mr. Castellano grew up with nothing. He immigrated to America with $17 in his pocket. He worked construction, restaurants, whatever he could find. And one day, when he was young and broke, someone helped him when he had nothing. He never forgot that kindness. Now he spends his life looking for people who have that same character. I don't understand what this has to do with me. Tyler, Mr. Castellano isn't just some old man. He's one of the most successful real estate developers in Chicago. His net worth is approximately $340 million. The flashlight fell off the table. Tyler didn't pick it up. That's not possible. He was wearing old clothes. He drove a regular car. Exactly. That's the point. He wants to see who people really are when they think there's nothing to gain. Tyler was full-on crying now, sitting in his dark apartment, holding his phone with both hands. I didn't help him to gain anything. I helped him because he reminded me of my grandfather. We know Mr. Castellano knows. That's why I'm calling. Tyler heard papers rustling on the other end of the line. Tomorrow morning you'll receive a certified letter at your address. Inside will be a check for $47,000. $1,000 for every dollar you spent that night. Tyler couldn't breathe. What? There's more. Mr. Castellano has also paid off your student loans in full. According to our research, you owe $32,000. That debt no longer exists. The room was spinning. Tyler had to put his head between his knees. And finally, Mr. Castellano would like to offer you a position in his company's management training program. Starting salary is $85,000 per year. You'd begin next month. This isn't real, Tyler whispered. This can't be real. It's very real, Tyler. Mr. Castellano wanted me to tell you that character is the rarest resource in the world. He said you gave him back his faith in humanity. This isn't charity. It's recognition of who you are as a person. Tyler was sobbing now, sitting on the floor of his dark apartment, the one with the broken shower and cracked mirror, the one he was about to be evicted from. Why me? He managed to ask. Rebecca's voice was gentle. Because when you had nothing, you still gave everything. That's who Mr. Castellano looks for, people who give from an empty pocket and a full heart. After the call ended, Tyler sat in the darkness for a long time. The cereal bowl was still on the table. The warm milk was still going bad. The rent was still 5 days late, but tomorrow everything would change, and it all started with a bowl of soup. Tyler didn't sleep that night. How could he? Every time he closed his eyes, his brain told him it was all a dream. Some kind of cruel joke? Maybe he'd imagined the phone call. Maybe he was so tired and stressed that he'd hallucinated the whole thing. But when morning came and he checked his phone, there was Rebecca Park's number in his call history. Real. It had been real. At 9:15 a.m., someone knocked on his door. Tyler jumped up from the couch where he'd been sitting for 3 hours just waiting. He opened the door to find a delivery person with a clipboard. Tyler Chen. That's me. Sign here, please. Certified mail. Tyler's hand shook as he signed. The envelope was thick, official-looking, with a fancy law office's return address embossed on the back. He closed the door, sat down on his couch, and just stared at it for a full minute. Open it, he told himself. Just open it. Inside was a letter on heavy paper, the expensive kind, and beneath it a check. Tyler pulled it out and looked at the numbers. $47,000, made out to Tyler Chen, signed by Vincent Castellano. Tyler started laughing and crying at the same time. He must have looked insane, sitting there in his dark apartment with no electricity, holding a check for more money than he'd ever seen in his life. There was also a handwritten note on personal stationery. Tyler recognized the shaky handwriting from the night at the restaurant. Tyler, you gave me something money cannot buy. You gave me back my faith in people. This is not charity. This is recognition. Your student loans have been paid in full as of this morning. Call Rebecca about the job. It's yours if you want it. You have the kind of character I spend millions trying to teach. Thank you for reminding an old man that good people still exist. With gratitude, Vincent. Tyler read it 5 times, then 10 times. Then he called his mom. Tyler, honey, it's 6 in the morning here. His mom lived in California 3 time zones behind. Mom, something crazy just happened. You're not going to believe this. He told her everything. The old man at the restaurant. The declined cards. Paying the bill. The phone call. The check he was holding in his hands right now. His mom was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, Baby, I'm so proud of you. I didn't do anything special, Mom. I just paid for someone's dinner. No. You did something most people wouldn't do. You gave away money you needed because someone else needed their dignity more. That's not nothing, Tyler. That's everything. They talked for another hour. His mom cried. Tyler cried again. It was a lot of crying, but the good kind. At 10 a.m., Tyler called Rebecca Park. Tyler, I was hoping to hear from you today. Did you receive the package? I did. I'm still trying to process all of this. I understand. It's a lot to take in. Have you thought about Mr. Castellano's job offer? Tyler hadn't thought about much else. A real job. $85,000 a year. He'd been making maybe $28,000 at the restaurant, and that was with killing himself on double shifts. I don't have a business degree, Tyler said. I studied literature in college. I'm not qualified for management, Rebecca laughed. Tyler, Mr. Castellano doesn't care about your degree. He cares about your character. He says character can't be taught, but business skills can. He wants to teach you the business side. You already have everything else. When would I start? Next month. December 1st. That gives you time to give notice at the restaurant and get settled. We'd want you to meet with Mr. Castellano first, of course. Are you free tomorrow for lunch? Tyler almost laughed. Was he free? He had nothing but free time. Yes, I can do tomorrow. Perfect. 1 p.m. at Romano's. Mr. Castellano thought it would be fitting to meet there. After they hung up, Tyler did something he hadn't done in years. He deposited the check using his phone's banking app, then went to his landlord's apartment and paid 3 months of rent in cash. The landlord looked shocked. You said Monday or you'd evict me. It's only Saturday. I'm early. Then Tyler went to the power company's office and paid his bill plus 3 months in advance. The woman at the counter raised her eyebrows but didn't ask questions. He bought real groceries. Fresh vegetables. Good bread. Chicken that wasn't on sale. He filled his cart and didn't look at prices once. At the register, when the total came to $93, Tyler didn't even flinch. He just paid it. Walking out of that grocery store with bags full of food, Tyler understood something he'd never fully grasped before. It wasn't about the money. It was about the weight that lifts off your shoulders when you're not drowning anymore, when you can breathe without calculating every dollar, when you can just live. That night, with his electricity back on and real food in his fridge, Tyler tried to understand what had happened. A week ago, he'd been one missed paycheck away from homelessness. Now his student loans were gone, he had more money in his bank account than he'd ever dreamed of, and he had a job offer that could change his entire life. All because he'd paid for an old man's soup. No, Tyler corrected himself. Not because he'd paid for the soup. Because he'd treated that old man like a human being. Because he'd seen someone in distress and helped without thinking about what he'd get in return. His phone buzzed. A text from Kevin, his co-worker at Romano's. Dude, did you quit? Danny is freaking out. Says you're not on the schedule next week. Tyler smiled. He hadn't officially quit yet. That would come tomorrow after his lunch with Mr. Vincent. But Kevin's text reminded him of something. Danny had told him he was stupid for helping. Kevin had said he'd been scammed. They'd both been wrong. Sometimes the stupidest thing you can do turns out to be the smartest thing you've ever done. Sometimes being scammed means you were kind to someone who needed kindness. Sometimes giving away the last of what you have opens doors you didn't even know existed. Tyler texted back, "I'll explain everything next time I see you." Then he made himself a real dinner in his apartment with working lights and thought about what he'd say to Mr. Vincent tomorrow. How do you thank someone for seeing you when you felt invisible? How do you thank someone for changing your entire life because you did one decent thing? Tyler fell asleep that night with a full stomach and a full heart, ready for tomorrow. Tyler arrived at Romano's 15 minutes early. He couldn't help it. Nervous energy had him walking faster than usual. He'd taken the bus instead of his bike, wearing the one decent suit he owned. It was from a thrift store and the sleeves were a bit too long, but it was clean and pressed. Jennifer, the host, did a double take when she saw him. "Tyler, what are you doing here?" "It's your day off. I'm meeting someone for lunch." "Oh." She looked confused. "Table 12 is reserved for a Mr. Castellano. Are you serving him?" Tyler smiled. "Something like that." He sat down at table 12, the same table where this whole thing had started. The same chair Mr. Vincent had sat in. Tyler looked around the restaurant with different eyes now. A week ago, he'd been on the other side, carrying menus and refilling water glasses. Now he was sitting as a guest. It felt strange. At exactly 1 p.m., the front door opened and Mr. Vincent walked in. But this wasn't the same man Tyler had met before. This Mr. Vincent wore an expensive suit, perfectly tailored. His shoes were polished to a mirror shine. His hair was neatly combed. He looked like he belonged in this restaurant. Tyler stood up, suddenly unsure of what to do. Shake hands? Hug him? What's the protocol for meeting a millionaire who tested you by pretending to be poor? Mr. Vincent walked straight to him with a huge smile and pulled him into a hug. A real one, the kind your grandfather gives you. "Tyler," he said, his voice warm. "It's so good to see you again." "You too, sir." "You look different." Mr. Vincent laughed as they sat down. "This is the real me. Well, both are the real me, I suppose. The clothes change, but the person underneath doesn't." A server Tyler didn't know came to take their order. Tyler noticed Danny watching from across the restaurant, his mouth literally hanging open. Kevin was staring too. They ordered lunch, and then Mr. Vincent leaned forward, his hands folded on the table. Those same hands that had shaken while holding declined credit cards now looked steady and strong. "I owe you an explanation," Mr. Vincent said. "Rebecca told me some of it. About the test. About what you do. Did she tell you why?" Tyler shook his head. Mr. Vincent's eyes got distant, like he was looking at something far away. 52 years ago, I came to America from Italy. I was 23 years old. I had $17, a suitcase with 3 shirts, and a dream that probably seemed impossible. I didn't speak English very well. I had no family here, no connections, nothing. He paused while the server brought their drinks. I got a job washing dishes at a restaurant not unlike this one. The owner paid me under the table, less than minimum wage. I worked 14-hour days. I slept in a room with 6 other men, all of us sharing one bathroom. It was hard, Tyler, harder than I can explain. Tyler listened, seeing his own struggles reflected in Mr. Vincent's story. One day, my wallet was stolen on the subway. Everything I had was in that wallet. About $200, which was 2 weeks of pay. I had to buy groceries that day or I'd have nothing to eat. I went to the store anyway, thought maybe I could explain. Maybe they'd let me pay later. Mr. Vincent's voice got quieter. I filled my basket with the cheapest things I could find. Bread, rice, eggs. At the register, I had to tell the cashier I had no money. I'll never forget the look on her face, like I was trying to steal. She called the manager. People in line behind me were getting angry, telling me to move. Tyler felt his throat getting tight. He'd been in situations like that. Different details, same shame. Then a man behind me, someone I'd never seen before, just stepped forward and paid. Didn't say much, just paid my bill and left. I tried to follow him to get his address, to promise I'd pay him back, but he disappeared into the crowd. I never found him. A tear rolled down Mr. Vincent's cheek. He didn't wipe it away. That man saved my life that day, Tyler, not just because I needed food. Because he gave me back my dignity when I felt like dirt. He showed me that kindness still existed in the world. And I promised myself that if I ever made something of my life, I'd spend it looking for people like him. People who help when they have nothing to gain. People who see another human being in pain and just act. But why the test? Tyler asked. Why not just ask people if they're kind? Mr. Vincent smiled. Because anyone can claim to be kind. Anyone can say they'd help. But character isn't what we say we do. It's what we actually do when no one's watching. When there's no reward. When it costs us something we can't afford to lose. Their food arrived. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. I've been doing this test for 11 years, Mr. Vincent continued. Different cities, different restaurants. I've sat at probably 200 tables. Do you know how many people treated me with respect when my cards declined? Rebecca said I was the first to pay the bill. You were. But even beyond that, you were one of maybe 5 people who treated me like a human being throughout the entire meal. Most servers see the cheap clothes and give minimum effort. Some are outright rude. When the cards decline, I've been called a thief, a scammer. I've had managers threaten to call the police. I've had other diners laugh at me. Tyler felt sick thinking about it. But you, Mr. Vincent pointed at him with his fork. You brought me free food before you knew I couldn't pay. You talked to me like I mattered. You asked about my life. And when my cards declined, you didn't hesitate. You just helped. That's who you are, Tyler. That's your character. I didn't do it for a reward, Tyler said quietly. I know. That's exactly why you deserve one. They talked for 2 more hours. About the job, about Tyler's future. About what Mr. Vincent had built over 5 decades. The real estate company, the properties, the investments. But also about the values, the ethics, the way Mr. Vincent tried to run his business. I can teach you about contracts and negotiations and profit margins, Mr. Vincent said. Those are just skills. But what you have, that thing that made you pay for a stranger's soup when you were nearly broke yourself, that can't be taught. You either have it or you don't, and Tyler, you have it. As they finished lunch, Tyler asked the question that had been bothering him. What if I hadn't paid your bill? What if I'd just let Danny handle it? Mr. Vincent shrugged. Then I'd have paid with cash I had in my car, driven home, and kept looking. The search would have continued. But you found what you were looking for. I found more than I was looking for. I found someone who reminded me why I started this search in the first place. You reminded me of me 52 years ago. Tyler felt tears in his eyes. I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me. Pay it forward. That's all I ask. When you're successful, when you've built your career and your life, remember what it felt like to be broke. Remember what it felt like to choose between paying rent and eating. And when you see someone struggling, help them. Not because you'll get rewarded, but because it's the right thing to do. They shook hands at the door and Mr. Vincent pulled him into another hug. December 1st, you start your new life. But Tyler, I want you to remember something. Your character didn't change because of a check. The money just revealed what was already there. You were always this person. Now you just have the resources to do more good in the world. Tyler watched Mr. Vincent drive away in a Mercedes that probably cost more than Tyler had made in the past 5 years combined. Then he turned and looked at Romano's, where he'd spent countless hours serving tables, where his feet had ached and his wallet had stayed empty. Danny came outside. Tyler, what the hell is going on? Was that really Vincent Castellano? The Vincent Castellano? Tyler smiled. Yeah, it was. And you had lunch with him? I did. How do you know him? Tyler thought about that night a week ago. About choosing to help when helping hurt. About seeing a human being instead of a potential tip. About doing the right thing even when it cost everything. I bought him soup once, Tyler said. He walked away, leaving Danny standing there confused, and headed to his apartment. His apartment with working electricity. His apartment where he wouldn't be evicted. His apartment where everything had changed because of one choice. But really, Tyler thought as he walked, nothing had changed at all. He was still the same person who'd help a stranger. Still the person who'd give his last dollar if someone needed it more. The only difference was now he had more dollars to give, and that, Tyler realized, was the real gift. Not the money, not the job. The gift was learning that who you are matters more than what you have. That kindness is never wasted, even when it seems like it is. That sometimes the smallest actions create the biggest changes. That one bowl of soup can change 2 lives forever. Because in the end, we're all just people trying to get by. Some of us wear expensive suits. Some of us wear thrift store jackets. Some of us have millions. Some of us have $43. But underneath all that, we're all the same. We all want to be seen. We all want to matter. We all want to be treated with dignity. Tyler had given that to a stranger. And somehow, in a way that still seemed impossible, that stranger had given Tyler his whole future in return. Not because Tyler expected anything, but because he didn't. 6 months later, Tyler sat in an office on the 42nd floor of a building he used to look up at from the street. His office, with his name on the door, Tyler Chen, Management Associate. The view stretched across downtown Chicago, the same streets he used to bike through in the rain. He could see Romano's from here, just a small building among thousands, but it meant everything. That restaurant had changed his life. His phone buzzed. A text from his mom. "So proud of you, baby. Your dad would be too." Tyler's dad had passed away when he was 19. Heart attack, sudden, no warning. That's when everything had fallen apart financially. Medical bills, funeral costs, helping his mom. That's why Tyler had student loans. That's why he'd been working at Romano's instead of using his literature degree. But now his dad's medical bills were paid off. His mom's house was paid off. Tyler had taken care of everything in the first month of his new salary. The look on his mom's face when he'd told her she owned her house free and clear. That was worth more than any amount of money. There was a knock on his door. "Come in." Mr. Vincent walked in carrying 2 coffee cups. He did this sometimes, just stopped by Tyler's office to chat. Tyler had learned that despite running a $300 million company, Mr. Vincent made time for people. Real time, not the fake "my door is always open" kind that actually meant "don't bother me." "How's the Peterson project coming?" Mr. Vincent asked, handing Tyler a coffee. Tyler had been working on affordable housing development, his first major project. It was Mr. Vincent's idea. "Let's build something that actually helps people," he'd said. "Not just luxury condos for people who already have 3 homes. Good, we broke ground last week. 150 units, all priced for working families. Teachers, servers, construction workers. People like I used to be." Mr. Vincent smiled. "People like we both used to be." They talked about the project for a while, then Mr. Vincent got quiet. He had that look, the one that meant he was about to say something important. "Tyler, I want to tell you something. About that night at Romano's." "Okay. I lied to you. Well, not lied exactly. But I didn't tell you everything." Tyler's coffee stopped halfway to his mouth. "What do you mean?" "That test I do, the one with the declined cards. I told you I've done it 200 times over 11 years. Right. What I didn't tell you is that 3 months before I met you, I'd decided to stop. I was tired, Tyler. Tired of seeing the worst in people. Tired of being called names, being treated like garbage. Tired of losing faith in humanity over and over again." Tyler had never seen Mr. Vincent look sad before, but he looked sad now. "That night at Romano's was going to be my last test. I told myself if nobody helped, if it went like all the others, I'd accept that maybe that kind of kindness just doesn't exist anymore. That maybe the man who helped me 50 years ago was a fluke. One good person in a sea of indifference." Tyler felt his throat get tight. "And then you paid for my soup." Mr. Vincent's eyes were wet. "You have no idea, Tyler. You literally restored my faith in everything. I was ready to give up on people. And you showed me I was wrong to. I just did what anyone should do. But that's the thing. Anyone should, but almost no one does. You did. And it mattered more than you know." They sat in silence for a minute, both of them dealing with their emotions. "There's something else," Mr. Vincent said. "I want to expand the program. The test, the search for good people. But I'm getting old, Tyler. I'm 77. I won't be able to do this forever." Tyler knew where this was going, but he let Mr. Vincent say it. "I want you to help me. I want to create a foundation. Something that outlives both of us. We'll find people with character. People who help when they have nothing to gain. And we'll give them opportunities. Scholarships, jobs, business loans, whatever they need. You want me to run it? Eventually. When you're ready. For now, I want you to help me build it. You understand what it's like to be on the other side. You know what it feels like to be one bad day away from losing everything. That perspective is priceless." Tyler thought about all the people like him. Working 2 jobs, skipping meals, choosing between medicine and rent. People with good hearts and empty wallets. People who'd help a stranger even when they couldn't help themselves. "I'm in," Tyler said. "Absolutely, I'm in." Mr. Vincent's smile was bright enough to light up the whole office. "Good, because I already started the paperwork. The Castellano Chen Foundation. Has a nice ring to it, don't you think?" Tyler's eyes went wide. "You put my name on it?" "Of course I did. This foundation exists because of you, because you reminded me why it matters." Over the next few months, they built the foundation together. They created the criteria, the process, the network. They trained people to go out and do the tests, to find the helpers, the kind ones, the people who gave when they had nothing left to give. They found a single mother who used her last $20 to buy groceries for an elderly woman who couldn't afford food. They gave her a full scholarship to nursing school. They found a teenager who gave his coat to a homeless man in winter, then walked home freezing. They paid for his entire college education. They found a construction worker who paid for a family's car repair when they broke down on the highway. They helped him start his own contracting business. One after another, they found good people and changed their lives. And every single time, Tyler remembered what it felt like to be on the receiving end, to be drowning and have someone throw you a rope, to be invisible and have someone see you. One evening, Tyler and Mr. Vincent were working late at the foundation office. They'd just approved funding for their 100th recipient, a teacher who'd been buying school supplies for her students with her own money for 15 years. "Do you ever think about that night?" Mr. Vincent asked. "At Romano's?" "All the time," Tyler admitted. "Sometimes I still can't believe it was real." "What would you tell your past self if you could? That version of you sitting in the dark apartment, eating cereal, thinking you'd made the stupidest decision of your life?" Tyler thought about that. About the Tyler who'd had $43 and gave away almost all of it. The Tyler who'd biked to work in the rain. The Tyler who'd thought he'd never be anything more than a broke waiter. I'd tell him that kindness is never stupid, that helping someone is never a mistake even when it costs you everything, that the right thing to do is always the right thing to do regardless of the consequences. And, Mr. Vincent prompted, and I'd tell him that the universe keeps score, even when you think it doesn't. That good things really do happen to good people, even if it takes time. That one small choice can change everything. Mr. Vincent nodded. "You know what I'd tell the me from 52 years ago? The broke immigrant who got his wallet stolen? What? I'd tell him that the man who paid for his groceries, the stranger he never found, was actually an investment. That kindness compounds like interest. That man helped me, I helped you, now we're helping hundreds of others. And those hundreds will help thousands. It ripples out forever." Tyler looked out the window at the Chicago skyline. Somewhere down there, someone was making minimum wage. Someone was choosing between rent and food. Someone was having their credit card declined at a restaurant. And maybe, just maybe, someone else would help them. Someone who didn't think about the cost, who just saw another human being who needed help. Because that's what the foundation was really about. Not just changing individual lives, though that mattered. It was about changing the world, one act of kindness at a time. It was about proving that good people exist, that compassion matters, that we're all connected in ways we don't always see. "Thank you," Tyler said quietly. "For what?" "For testing me. For choosing Romano's that night. For giving me a chance." Mr. Vincent shook his head. "Tyler, I didn't give you anything you didn't already have. I just gave you the resources to be more of who you already were. The kindness was always there. The character was always there. I just shined a light on it." They worked until late that night, planning the next round of recipients, discussing how to expand the foundation, dreaming about how many lives they could change. As Tyler finally headed home in the car he'd bought himself, to the nice apartment he could actually afford, he thought about soup, about a bowl of minestrone that cost $14 and changed 2 lives forever. He thought about an old man in a worn jacket who'd been testing the world and found someone who passed, and he thought about all the people out there right now, facing their own tests, making their own choices about whether to help or walk away. Tyler pulled out his phone and texted his mom. "Love you. Dad would be proud of both of us," she texted back immediately. "He's watching, baby. He knows, he's always known you had the biggest heart." Tyler smiled and drove home, grateful for soup, for kindness, for second chances, and for the reminder that who we are matters more than what we have. And that sometimes, the smallest act of compassion can save more than one life. It can save everyone it touches.